Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing one of the weirdest fragrances that I've ever smelled, and this is Aldebaran by the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. So I only have a sample of this, but I already know that I will be purchasing a full bottle sometime in the near future. Marc-Antoine Barrois is a fragrance house that has very few fragrances, and they're all perfumed by Canton Biche. And if you know anything about Canton Biche, he makes some very odd perfumes. The most famous one from this brand is probably Ganymede, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, and it's very famous for using that Akigala wood that Canton Biche is known for using. I honestly don't like Ganymede too much, and Akigala wood is kind of a 50-50 for me, although I do really like it in Amouage's purpose. But this is a tuberose fragrance, which I typically can't stand the note of. Usually when I'm smelling tuberose in a perfume, it goes kind of a grape soda way. Not even a grape soda, more of a grape medicine. I used to own a couple. Rosso Epicurio by Jacques Fath is very heavy on the tuberose, and I really did not enjoy that perfume, so I ended up selling it. And even like Decas by the house of Xerjoff, it just has such a grape medicinal vibe to me from the tuberose, and I really couldn't stand it. So when I was sampling Aldebaran by Marc-Antoine Barrois, I was a little bit nervous, and also it's rated extremely poorly. I'm wearing a lot of it right now, but I'll just refresh myself on the opening. Wow. This thing is a beast, and it's very, very odd. If you've been on my channel or if you've seen my videos, you know that I've reviewed some very interesting, artistic, and niche perfumes. And out of everything that I've reviewed, Aldebaran by Marc-Antoine Barrois is the most confusing and the most difficult to describe to someone that hasn't smelled it. There are three main notes in Aldebaran that really shine the most, and although there aren't that many notes in this perfume, there are three that really kind of rise to the top and show themselves more, and that is tuberose, of course, because this is a tuberose focused fragrance. There's also paprika, which is not typically seen in perfumes, but it's actually a really nice spicy touch. And then there's some mate in here, which gives this kind of green, spicy, very dry and herbal sensation. And when you're smelling Aldebaran by Marc-Antoine Barrois, you can almost taste it in your throat. This perfume is insanely strong. First of all, it fills up an entire room, and it doesn't really smell like a fragrance in terms of a perfume, but rather a smell that would come from something. And what I mean by that is, like, it's green, it's spicy, it's metallic. It doesn't seem like it would be from a fragrance. The combination of the mate and the paprika gives off this kind of salty and almost edible vibe. In a way, this is gourmand in an aspect that I've never seen in any other perfume in my entire life. It almost smells like Fritos or corn nuts, and it's very salty and it's almost mouth-watering, and it's extremely weird. I've heard people describe it as smelling like bell peppers, but I don't think it smells like bell peppers, but everyone seems to get something different from this perfume, and it's very subjective. On Fragrantica, which you should not base your perfumes on, this is actually the worst rated perfume that I think I've ever even seen. It's rated, I think, a 3.12. If you know me, you know that I love Amouage's Reckless Leather, which is also rated very horribly. These are both in a similar category in a way. Now, they don't smell anything alike, but they're both green, they're both herbal, they're both very spicy, and they're both extremely unconventional. And for that reason, these are two perfumes that are polarizing to the public, and they also happen to be two of my favorites that I've ever smelled. The mate in this perfume gives off almost a matcha vibe. I'm not positive if I've talked about this before, but Vetiver Parfum from the House of Guerlain is one of my favorite perfumes of all time. And this is very green, and I also like to say that this has kind of a matcha vibe. But the difference between Aldebaran by Marc-Antoine Barrois and Vetiver Parfum is that the matcha that I get in both of these, which to be fair is not listed in either perfume, is completely different. In Vetiver Parfum, I like to say that it has a matcha ice cream vibe, because what I smell as matcha in Vetiver Parfum is sweet and green, and what I smell as matcha in Aldebaran is spicy, herbal, it's bitter, it's a little bit darker, and this thing is weird, and I did not like it at first, and now I can't see myself without a bottle. So I still have a little bit left in my sample, so I'm going to be enjoying this. It's very strong, you don't need very many sprays. I was actually wearing 6 sprays of this today, and I wasn't going out, so it was okay, but it filled up every single room that I walked in, so this is one that you have to be a little bit careful with. Now, the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois is built on being unconventional, but Aldebaran is, from my experience, the most unconventional and also least appreciated of the set. Now, I do want to say that even for tuberose lovers, you need to sample this. As I said earlier, tuberose is actually one of my least favorite notes ever. But I love the greenness and the sharpness of the tuberose in this. And I've also seen some people who have tuberose as their favorite note say that this is one of the most astringent and off-putting tuberoses that they've ever smelled. So out of every fragrance that I've ever reviewed, Aldebaran by Marc-Antoine Barrois may be the most polarizing. Thank you for watching, and I do want to say that if you're someone into niche perfumery like Amouage, Zoologist, Male Fusioni, or other brands along those lines that explore the more subjective side of perfumery, then you definitely have to check out the house, but you especially need to check out Aldebaran. Everyone goes to Ganymede when they sample this house, and everyone skips over this one because nobody talks about it, so this is one that you really need to sample. Thank you for watching. I have a bunch more reviews coming, and as always, if you have any content ideas, please tell me in the comments below.